I'm not going to hide my shock and surprise today. This is probably the most shocked I've ever been at a video game release. You may remember a little while ago, there was a trailer. Wow, 2 years at this point. There was a trailer release that looks a little bit like this. It was some little creatures that were helping build things. And then we also saw that, oh my god, you can do things like evolve them, and you can shoot them. You can use them as shields, and you can give them AK-47s, and you can capture them. It's a monster tamer that you can also use massive rocket launchers with and put them onto labor lines and basically enslave them to make weapons. And we all thought, wow, that was goofy. That's silly. How crazy. Oh, well, let's move on. And that game finally came out. And honestly, I'm going to take the L here. I did not think it would be this popular. I really did not at all. Palworld has taken the number 8 spot for the most peak players of any game on Steam of all time already, just a day after it released. It has almost beaten my heart, my soul, Baldur's Gate 3, and has had 855,000 players. To put it into perspective, Starfield had around 326,000 at peak on Steam. Now, you might say things like, oh, but, you know, it's on Game Pass, but Palworld is also on Game Pass. That being said, it is a cheaper game. It is only £22 or whatever your regional equivalent of that is. But I don't know where did all the love for this come from? It's boggling my mind. This kind of came out of nowhere. Like most AAA games, it didn't have a marketing budget the size of the sun. It didn't have a ton of talk around it before it released. I just heard some people like, hey, you're going to play Palworld? Like that remember that AK-47 Pikachu game? That's coming out soon. Isn't that kind of crazy? And that's all I heard. And it has absolutely exploded. And from what I've seen online, everyone seems to be enjoying it. Everyone seems to have a lot of fun with it. I've talked to a few of my friends that played it. They say, yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I've been having fun with it. Now, this type of gameplay isn't specifically for me. I probably won't play it for that and maybe a couple of other reasons that we'll talk about in a second. But it just blew my mind how successful this was out of nowhere. I have not seen this type of success for any non-AAA, mega marketed, mega budget, mega marketing thing. This is just, I guess, word of mouth. This is just people watching maybe streamers and thinking, oh, wow, Pokemon with guns, that's kind of funny. Let me take that one for a spin, shall we? And if you take into account the fact that you can play it for free on Game Pass without having to buy it, the Steam chart numbers are maybe dwarfed by the Game Pass numbers. Who knows? But there's a little controversy around this. It's doing really well, which is fantastic for, you know, developers and indie devs. Great when indie devs do well. And it's up there as one of the most viewed stream games right now, number 14, which is, again, incredibly successful. But there's a bit of controversy around this game. Pokemon fans are coming for Palworld, IGN says. Pokemon game with guns. It's taken Steam by storm, but the designs are stolen and lazy. And then they show some comparisons here. There are some comparisons in this tweet here where it looks exactly like a Lilligant and Meganium, and we have different Pokemon here, which if we have a little bit of a closer look at this, this is a Cobalion, essentially. This looks a little bit like a Lycanroc. This is a little bit less like a Lycanroc, but it has very similar features to Lycanroc. Then you have the Meganium and the Lilligant, obviously, and then you have another Lilligant right there. Then you have the Latios and the Latias. There's a Gyarados-esque creature as well, like a Sea Leviathan thing. This is just Luxray, but yellow. So they are incredibly similar. I don't think you can argue that those designs are not incredibly similar. And a lot of people are going back and forth online, trying to decide whether this matters or not, whether stealing from a massive corporation or stealing alleged, it's a little bit mucky when it comes to things like this, because two people can have the same idea. That is true. But, I mean, come on. It would be silly to try and argue that they are not at least taking inspiration from Pokemon designs. It would be a little silly to try and argue that. Looking at this, I don't really think you could argue that at all, because there are so many similarities. You got the Natu here, the Xatu Natu here. You got like a Tangrowth-esque creature here. You even have like kind of looks like Clodsire a little bit, and it's kind of matching the Sobble a little bit too. Yeah, like something that looks a little bit like a Mantine here as well in the game. They are very, very similar. There are a ton of Monster Tamer games out there that don't have designs that are so close to Pokemon designs. It's, I would assume, very easy to not copy and paste the same type of eyes that they use. This is Meganium's eyes, and the neck is very similar. The head is very similar. So obviously there's been a bit of a little bit of peeking, a little bit of, oh, let's take that one and use it for ourselves. But that's not the end of the controversy here. It goes on as this company is definitely a super duper let's use some AI art company. The CEO of the company, who is Takuro Mizobe, is a big fan of AI art, a big fan. They even released a game that is just an AI art generator. So they're a huge fan of that, which is not down with a lot of people. You can see more pictures here. He tweets about AI art, just constantly putting stormtroopers hoovering the beach for some reason. I can't figure out why. But obviously that ruffles people's feathers when you have the combination of AI art generation, which can steal from artists without their permission, or at least use their art in the AI art generation without their permission or any kind of compensation. And then you have the fact that the Palworld Pokemon creatures look very, very, very similar to the Pokemon creatures that obviously is copyrighted by Pokemon. It starts to get a little bit, a little suspect, a little bit like, oh, what's going on here? They also go on, the person is a massive fan of NFTs, apparently, which is funny to think about now, man. NFTs, remember those? Jesus Christ. Need that public server and connect to MetaMask now. Wow, large island. Do you want to decorate your island with NFT? No, I don't think I do want to decorate my island with NFT. So there's been a lot of back and forth about that the company is pretty shady, pretty scummy, and the fact that it is doing so well. Now, I would never get angry at someone just for playing this game. I think that while Pokemon is a super duper mega company, yes, it can take hits like this. When it comes down to the nitty gritty, you don't really want massive, massive successes like this being built off of what is very, 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 very likely to be at least kind of stolen from artists without credit, without permission, and without any kind of compensation towards those artists. And I think one of the reasons they're kind of getting away with it a little bit right now is because it actually is a fun game and it's enjoyable to play and people are enjoying it in droves. If this were not a very good game, it would have been swept under the rug. No one would have really cared about it. People would be like, damn, remember that Pokemon AK-47 game? Yeah, they stole all the designs. Also, the game sucks. Let's like dunk on it. And everyone collectively dunk on it. But now it's good and people are actually liking it. People are going online to defend it, which is weird. I don't know. I don't think you can defend this as in it's not stolen, but a lot of people are just saying, hey, yeah, it might be stolen, but guess what? Don't care. Don't care that it's stolen and join the game. Just having a little bit of fun. And something I think that we learned from, or maybe Hogwarts Legacy, is that Twitter outrage and people getting angry and starting fights on Twitter will only make something more popular, and it will only make the content itself probably make more money in the end. They say no publicity is bad publicity. I don't really necessarily agree with that, but when it comes to things like this, people may see an argument about this game and be like, oh, that's kind of funny. You can like shoot the sheep. That's funny. Let me check that one out. And then they see that it's 10% off. It's not that expensive. And oh my God, it's actually free on Game Pass. Yeah, maybe I'll like give that a go, actually. We'll see what it's like. And then people stop playing it and they think, oh, it's fun. It's a fun game. So I don't necessarily think that the company behind this that made it is got the best interest of everyone at heart, but they are an indie company. They are a smaller company, so maybe they're allowed a little bit more leeway with things like this. And I think for a lot of Pokemon players, it's nice to just have a game that lets you let loose. Like you just go in an open world and grab a gun and just like start shooting the Gyarados. That's a really novel concept. I don't know what the staying power of this game is really going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a cultural icon. It may be just a flash in the pan. Like Hogwarts Legacy came out and people were arguing about that very, very, very consistently. And then it kind of faded and it wasn't in discussion for even like the best of the year because the game itself was just, it was just fine, I guess. So as for the longevity of this, I don't really know. It's good that it's on Game Pass for the community and the player base because you can just hop on that really quickly. This blows my mind, man. This actually blows my mind. I don't think anyone understands how fucking crazy it is that this is obliterating almost every Steam game in history, and it came out of nowhere. No one was talking about this, at least not from what I saw. Was there a massive Palworld community online of hundreds of thousands of people just like chomping at the bit, could not wait to dive into Palworld, and I just missed it? Is that what happens? The marketing was basically nothing. It's not like they had a massive budget for that. anyway. It's not like they had AAA budgets. It's not like it's sponsored by Ubisoft or Activision. It didn't have a big company behind it. It didn't have big money behind it. So the marketing just wasn't there. It must just be word of mouth. And it's done incredibly well. It's ridiculous. It genuinely is blowing my mind. And it's not like monster tamers that are like Pokemon just consistently do well anyway. This has completely blown everything out of the water. This is 10x any other monster tamer out there. And it just came out of nowhere. I'm sorry. I just have to state how fucking crazy that is and how much it is really messing with my brain cells. I don't understand. I need to put 3 and 3 together, and the Lego blocks of my brain need to click in because I don't know what's going on anymore. Anyway, if you played Palworld, let me know. What do you think about it? Is it good? Do you like it? I mean, I know a few people that played it, and they seem to enjoy it. So, I mean, hey, it must be good for something. Anyway, use code patterrz at GamerSubs for delicious beverages. You can get it international shipping, get it less than $1 per serving, and there's so many flavors, and there's so many funny-looking flavors that you can go and try out as well. They're all good. I promise you, they're all good. Use code patterrz at GamerSubs.